A stormy night descends on a lone cottage nestled in the heart of a forsaken countryside. The relentless rain transforms the tranquil landscape into an eerie tableau of shifting shadows and lonesome whispers. Amidst this desolate scene stands a solitary cottage, its windows rattling in the storm's fury. Taking refuge from the tempest within this isolated abode is Sarah, a young woman with a heart brimming with adventure. Her only companions are the faint glow of a solitary candle and the rhythmic pitter-patter of rain on the roof. Tales of the cottage's spectral inhabitants had reached her ears, but the storm outside offered her no alternatives. As time drags its heavy feet, Sarah's sense of unease grows. The dancing shadows in the room's corners and the whispering creaks of the wooden floorboards stoke the flames of her imagination. However, the feeling of unseen eyes observing her refuses to be dismissed as mere fantasy. Suddenly, a chill creeps down her spine as a melancholic melody wafts through the air. The haunting strains of a distant music box fill the room. Shaking with apprehension, yet driven by curiosity, she follows the sound, her footsteps echoing down the dimly lit corridor. The mournful tune guides her to a locked door at the end of the hallway. With trembling fingers, she manages to turn the rusty knob. Beyond the door, she finds a room trapped in time, its walls bearing the faded smiles of a family long forgotten. At the room's center sits an ornate antique music box, its delicate figurine twirling to the haunting melody. The music box seems untouched by the relentless march of time, its surface free of dust and decay. As Sarah approaches it, disbelief widens her eyes. As her fingers reach out to touch the music box, the melody abruptly halts. A sinister silence blankets the room, the temperature plummeting. Fear surges through Sarah's veins as the door slams shut, leaving her trapped. In the suffocating silence, a soft, ghostly whisper echoes. "You should have never come here." Sarah whirls around to see a spectral figure materialize, its eyes hollow with sorrow. A chilling melody breaks the silence, compelling Sarah to investigate. Guided by the melancholic tune, Sarah finds herself standing before a locked door at the end of the corridor. Her heart pounded in her chest as she turned the rusty doorknob, revealing a room that seemed untouched by the passage of time. Faded photographs of a bygone family adorned the walls, casting long spectral shadows in the dimly lit room. In the heart of the room, an antique music box held court, its delicate figurine twirling to the haunting melody that had led Sarah here. The music box was a stark contrast to its surroundings, untouched by dust and decay, a surreal sight that left Sarah in awe. As she reached out to touch the music box, the melody abruptly ceased. A shroud of silence descended upon the room, so intense it felt almost tangible. An icy chill permeated the air, making her breath visible in the faint light. The sudden shift in atmosphere sent a wave of panic through Sarah's veins. Before she could react, the door she had just entered through slammed shut with a deafening crash. The sound echoed through the room, bouncing off the walls and leaving a ringing silence in its wake. Sarah was trapped, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. In the midst of her fear, a soft, ghostly whisper filled the room. It was a voice that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the cottage, sending a shiver down her spine. "You should have never come here," it warned. Sarah spun around, her eyes wide with terror. Before her materialized a pale figure, its eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. The ghostly apparition seemed to radiate an aura of despair and regret, its presence filling the room with a sense of dread. Sarah was trapped not just physically but also in the tragic story that this cottage held within its walls. The haunting melody of the music box was just the beginning of a tale of love, betrayal, and a spirit trapped in eternal torment. A ghostly whisper fills the room. "You should have never come here." A pale figure materializes before Sarah, its hollow eyes filled with centuries-old sorrow. The apparition emanates a sense of profound sadness, its ghostly form flickering in the dim candlelight. The room feels heavy with the weight of untold stories, and a chilling silence hangs in the air. The ghost begins to speak, its voice a whisper in the wind. It tells a heartbreaking tale of a family that once lived in the cottage, a family torn apart by jealousy and betrayal. The father, a renowned musician, had crafted a beautiful music box for his beloved wife. But as time passed, the couple's love turned sour. The father's jealousy over his wife's friendship with a local man led to a bitter feud that ended in tragedy. The music box, once a symbol of love and unity, became a haunting reminder of the family's fateful past. The ghost explains that the wife was so heartbroken over the loss of her family that she couldn't bear to part with the music box. In her despair, she infused the music box with her sorrow and regret, inadvertently binding her spirit to it for all eternity. Sarah listens in horror as the ghost's tale unfolds, her heart aching for the tragic figure before her. The ghost's sorrow is palpable, its hollow eyes reflecting a pain that has spanned centuries. She realizes that the spirit before her is not a malevolent entity, but a tormented soul trapped in a cycle of despair. The ghost implores Sarah for help. It yearns for release, for the chance to find peace and move on from its earthly torment. Sarah feels a surge of determination. She knows she must help the spirit find peace. She must unravel the mystery of the music box and find a way to free the ghost from its eternal torment. With newfound resolve, Sarah prepares to delve deeper into the cottage's haunted history. Little does she know, her journey is only just beginning. As the ghost fades away, leaving only its sorrowful tale behind, Sarah is left alone once again. But this time, she is not afraid. She is ready to face whatever lies ahead. Armed with newfound resolve, Sarah discovers a hidden letter that leads her to a long-lost diary. The letter, yellowed with age, is filled with cryptic clues. It points to the existence of a hidden chamber beneath the cottage, a chamber that holds the key to the family's tragic past. With a racing heart, Sarah descends into the darkness. The stone steps are cold beneath her feet, and a chilling draft brushes past her, making her shiver. But she pushes on, her determination unwavering. The hidden chamber is a forgotten vault of memories, untouched by time. In the dim light, she spots a small, tarnished locket lying inconspicuously on a dusty shelf. As she picks it up, she senses a strange energy radiating from it, an energy that fills the room with an eerie, spectral glow. The locket, once a symbol of love and unity, now holds a tale of jealousy and betrayal. It is the heart of the haunting, the embodiment of the sorrowful spirit that roams the cottage. Sarah can almost hear the echoes of laughter that once filled the home, now replaced by a deafening silence. Slowly, she opens the locket. Inside, she finds a miniature portrait of a woman, her eyes filled with a sadness that mirrors the spirit's own. On the opposite side, there's a tiny key, a key that, according to the diary, can unlock the music box, the spirit's final tether to the world of the living. Sarah takes a deep breath. She can feel the anticipation building in the room. The air is thick with the weight of centuries-old secrets about to be unveiled. She clutches the key tightly in her hand, ready to confront the haunting. The spirit watches silently from the shadows, its hollow eyes filled with hope and despair. It has waited for this moment for so long, yet it is filled with fear. Will Sarah be able to break the curse? Or will she too become a part of the tragic tale? In the depths of the hidden chamber, Sarah comes face to face with the source of the haunting. As she prepares to unlock the music box, she knows that she is not just confronting a ghost, but also the tragic past that refuses to rest. With the truth unveiled, Sarah finds herself at a crossroads. The diary, weathered and yellowed, revealed a tale of love, betrayal, and regret. Armed with this knowledge, she approached the spectre, offering the locket as a symbol of reconciliation. The spirit, consumed by sorrow for centuries, gazed at the locket in disbelief. A wave of recognition washed over it, and the room filled with a profound sense of peace. Sarah watched as the spirit, finally free from its torment, faded away, leaving the music box silent. The storm outside began to subside, and the eerie shadows that once danced in the corners retreated. The cottage, once a place of haunting solitude, now felt warm and welcoming. Sarah, having faced her fears, had not only survived a night of horror, but also freed a lost soul. As the first rays of dawn break through the storm clouds, the haunting melody fades away, leaving only the peaceful silence of the cottage. In the heart of a dense, ominous forest, under the shroud of a relentless downpour, a decaying cabin whispers tales of bygone horrors. On this pitch-black night, a group of friends, hungry for adventure, dared to venture into the forest's depths. They stumbled upon the cabin, a relic of a forgotten era, its shattered windows and crumbling walls echoing with a chilling silence. Despite the dark rumors of a curse that held the cabin in its grip, a place where restless souls were said to wander, the friends decided to stay. They sought the thrill of the unknown, the chill of fear that would make their stories come alive. The rain pounded on the roof, each drop a drumbeat in the symphony of the storm. They huddled together, their campfire casting ghastly shadows on the cabin's walls. As the rain poured down, their campfire flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows that danced on the cabin's crumbling walls. Huddled together, they started sharing ghost stories, their voices barely above the howl of the storm. The tales they spun were a chilling mix of local legends and urban myths, each one more terrifying than the last. Stories of vanishing hitchhikers, haunted asylums, spectral children playing in the moonlight, and vengeful spirits seeking justice from beyond the grave filled the air. As each tale unfolded, the atmosphere within the cabin grew even more oppressive. The flickering firelight played tricks on their eyes, making it seem as though the shadows themselves were alive, listening intently to their stories. The wind wailed mournfully through the broken windows, its eerie song mingling with the crackling fire and their hushed voices. They laughed nervously, trying to dispel the growing sense of dread, but their laughter was hollow, ringing out into the darkness beyond the cabin walls. The night was alive with unseen terror, every creak and groan of the old cabin a chilling reminder of their isolation. Thunder rumbled, and lightning illuminated the cabin, revealing glimpses of a sinister presence. As the night deepened, strange occurrences unfolded within the cabin's haunting walls. The joviality of shared ghost stories was replaced by a palpable tension, a fear that clung to them like the dampness of the rain outside. The cabin, once dismissed as a mere curiosity, now revealed a sinister side that sent shivers down their spines. Whispering voices echoed through the shadows, their words a chilling chorus of unintelligible murmurs. The friends could not discern the words, but the sinister undertone was undeniable. The whispers seemed to surround them, seeping from the decrepit walls and the cracked floorboards, a chilling reminder of the cabin's rumored curse. Objects began to move of their own accord, a horrifying spectacle that defied the laws of nature. A book would fly off a shelf, or a chair would slide across the creaky floor as if pushed by an invisible hand. The cabin was coming alive, its unseen inhabitants making their presence known in the most terrifying manner. An icy draft swept through the room, its chilling touch penetrating their clothes and chilling them to their core. The coldness was not merely physical. It was a bone-deep dread that clung to them, a spectral chill that hinted at the presence of something far more sinister. One by one, the friends began to disappear. They were there one moment, laughing nervously at the eerie occurrences, and the next, they were gone, vanished without a trace. Their absence filled the cabin with a deafening silence, a void that was far more frightening than any ghost story they had shared. Panic set in as they realized they were no longer alone, trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth. The cabin, once a refuge from the storm, was now a prison, its walls closing in on them. They were trapped with an unseen entity, a malevolent force that reveled in their terror. The friends had sought a night of spine-chilling stories, but now they were living one. Stumbling upon an old journal, they discovered the grim history of the cabin. This relic of the past, hidden beneath rotting floorboards, held a narrative soaked in dread. The worn pages, yellowed with age, spoke of dark rituals that once echoed within these dilapidated walls. This cabin, now an epitome of decay, was once a sanctuary for a secret cult, a group shrouded in mystery and malevolence. They performed arcane rituals under the cover of night, invoking spirits from the netherworld. The inked words on the journal's pages revealed a chilling truth. Each ritual ended in a sacrifice, a life taken to appease the spirits they summoned. The cabin's dark past was not of simple hauntings, but of restless souls bound to its very foundations. The cult's unholy practices had trapped these spirits, forever cursing the cabin. It was a place of torment, where the line between the living and the dead blurred. The friends' intrusion into this forsaken place had awakened these spirits, reigniting their anguish. Their presence in the cabin, their fear, was the spark that set free the malevolent entities. As they read the journal, the realization dawned upon them. They were not mere visitors in this cabin. They were part of its tormented history, caught in a cycle of fear and despair that had played out countless times before. The journal's entries became increasingly ominous, detailing the cult's final ritual, a mass sacrifice that had sealed the cabin's fate. The cult had hoped to gain immortality, but their greed had cost them dearly. Instead of eternal life, they had found eternal damnation, their souls forever trapped within the cabin's walls. As they delved deeper into the cabin's past, the friends could feel the malevolent presence grow stronger. It was as if the spirits were feeding off their fear, gaining power with each terrified heartbeat. With each passing moment, the malevolent presence grew stronger, feeding on their fear. In their desperate final moments, they gathered the strength to recite an incantation from the journal. The words, old as time, echoed in the cabin, battling against the shrieking wind and the relentless rain. With each syllable uttered, the malevolent force seemed to recoil, as if the ancient words were a physical blow. Their voices trembled, but they pressed on, clinging to this last shred of hope. The cabin seemed to shudder in response to the incantation, the very walls trembling as if in pain. The wind howled, and the rain beat against the roof, as if nature itself was in turmoil. Suddenly, the cabin was filled with a blinding light, and the friends felt a surge of energy, a raw, primal force that seemed to pulsate with life. The words of the incantation seemed to hang in the air, charged with power. The spirits, once trapped, began to materialize, their ghostly forms flickering in and out of existence. They were drawn to the incantation, swirling around the friends in a frantic dance. Their faces were twisted in anguish and despair, a chilling testament to their torment. As the final words of the incantation were spoken, a deafening roar filled the cabin. The spirits swirled faster, their forms blurring into a spectral whirlwind. The friends could only watch, paralyzed by fear and awe, as the spirits were drawn towards the light, their wails reaching a feverish pitch, and then silence. The light faded, and the spectral whirlwind dissipated. The spirits were gone, finally released from their eternal prison. The cabin, once a place of dread and despair, now stood empty, a silent testament to the night's harrowing events. The friends found themselves alone, a heavy silence pressing down on them. The storm outside had subsided, replaced by the soft patter of raindrops against the cabin roof. The night had reclaimed its peace, its silence a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded moments ago. With a deafening roar, the spirits were set free, their anguished wails fading into the night. The friends had survived, but they were forever marked by the events of that terrifying rainy night, a night when they stood against the darkness and emerged victorious. The rain gradually subsided, and the cabin stood silent and empty once more. The once deafening downpour reduced to a soft drizzle, as if nature herself was taking a sigh of relief. The friends who had survived, their faces etched with terror and disbelief, slowly emerged from the cabin's haunting grasp. The cabin, once a symbol of spine-chilling horror, now seemed almost benign in the soft light of dawn, but the survivors knew better. They had seen the unimaginable, experienced the inexplicable. The cabin had revealed its darkest secrets to them, and they were forever marked by its grim tale. Shaken to their cores, they navigated their way out of the forest, leaving the haunted cabin behind. Their hearts pounded in their chests, the echo of the cabin's horrors still resounding in their minds. The world outside seemed unreal, a stark contrast to the nightmarish labyrinth they had just escaped. Haunted by the harrowing events of that terrifying rainy night, they left the cursed cabin behind, a night when the past came alive to claim its victims. In a remote village, deep within a dense forest, lived a solitary soul named Eliza. This humble dwelling was a world away from the bustle of city life, a place where the whisper of the wind and the rustling of leaves were the only sounds breaking the serene silence. Eliza was the village herbalist, her days filled with the earthy aroma of herbs and the gentle clinking of glass bottles. Her cottage was a sanctuary of serenity, brimming with fragrant concoctions of herbs and remedies. Each jar held a remedy, a cure, a whisper of well-being. The walls echoed with the knowledge of old remedies and the promise of new ones yet to be discovered. Eliza's existence was one of tranquility and solitude. She found comfort in her quiet life, relishing the peaceful hum of nature and the simplicity of her daily routine. Her life was simple, and she cherished the solitude that surrounded her. One autumn evening, ominous clouds gathered in the sky, casting a shadow over the village. The air was thick with the scent of impending rain, and a sense of foreboding hung over the villagers' homes like a dark cloak. Yet, in her humble cottage, Eliza, our solitary herbalist, remained unfazed. She saw this as an opportunity, a chance to gather the herbs she needed from the forest before the rains could wash them away. With her wicker basket in hand, she ventured into the woods, the gateway to her botanical treasure trove. The forest was eerily silent, save for the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant rumble of thunder. The rain began to fall, slowly at first, then growing in intensity, turning the forest path into a slick, murky trail. Despite the encroaching darkness and intensifying storm, Eliza pressed on. She moved with purpose, her eyes scanning the wet underbrush for the herbs she sought. Each gust of wind, each flash of lightning made her heart pound a little faster, yet her determination never wavered. As the first few drops turned into a relentless downpour, the forest seemed to transform around her. The once familiar paths were now obscured, the rain washing away any signs of a trail. The trees stood tall and menacing, their branches swaying wildly in the wind, casting long, eerie shadows. Her lantern's glow bounced off the wet foliage, the light flickering and dancing in the rain. She held on to her basket, her fingers numb from the cold, but her spirit unfaltering. Her clothes were soaked, her hair plastered to her face, but Eliza ventured deeper into the storm, her focus unwavering. The rainstorm grew wilder, and darkness enveloped the forest. The once comforting sounds of the forest were replaced by the relentless drumming of rain and the occasional crack of thunder. The storm seemed to echo her heartbeat, each thunderclap a testament to her courage. Despite the growing fear, Eliza pressed on, her resolve stronger than the storm itself. In the midst of the tempest, Eliza heard an eerie sound like whispers carried by the wind. The rain poured down relentlessly, but the whispers grew louder, a symphony of voices that seemed to beckon her deeper into the forest. Her heart pounded in her chest, a wild rhythm that echoed the chaotic dance of the storm. Yet, despite her fear, she pressed on, the basket of herbs growing heavier in her grasp. The forest was a labyrinth of shadows, but Eliza was guided by an unseen force, her intuition leading her deeper into the heart of the woods. Each step was a leap of faith, each rustling leaf a whispered secret. As the whispers grew louder, so did her determination. She collected the herbs she needed, their scent a comforting reminder of her purpose. Suddenly, the whispers led her to a small clearing. The rain seemed to lessen, and in the center of the clearing stood an ancient stone altar. It was adorned with moss and lichen, and strange symbols glowed on its surface, illuminated by the ethereal light of her lantern. The whispers grew silent, replaced by an unexplainable tranquility that settled over the clearing. Driven by curiosity, Eliza approached the altar. Her fingers traced the mysterious symbols, each one pulsating with an energy that resonated deep within her. As she touched the altar, a blinding bolt of lightning illuminated the clearing, and for a moment time stood still. In the eerie glow of the lightning, she saw them, the spirits of the forest. Their ethereal forms were half hidden in the mist, their faces serene and wise. They were the guardians of the forest, the source of the whispers that had guided her to the altar. With reverence, Eliza offered a handful of herbs as a token of her respect. The spirits nodded in approval, their ethereal forms shimmering in the faint light. In the heart of the storm, Eliza had found not danger, but an enchanting encounter with the unseen guardians of the forest. Hours passed, and as dawn broke, the storm subsided. The forest shed its eerie cloak, and the once haunting whispers of the trees softened, replaced by the harmonious chirping of birds, welcoming a new day. As the first rays of sunlight pierced through the dense canopy, the spirits that had kept Eliza company throughout the tumultuous night began to fade. Their ethereal forms shimmered in the morning light, growing fainter until they were but mere wisps of mist. They shared one last glance with Eliza, a silent farewell, before melting into the forest, leaving nothing but the ancient stone altar behind. Eliza rose from the clearing, her heart filled with an odd mix of relief and gratitude. She looked down at her basket, now filled with more than just herbs. Each leaf, each flower seemed to hold a touch of the forest's magic, a gift from the spirits she had encountered. With a final nod to the stone altar, she began her journey back to the village. The forest, once a daunting labyrinth, now seemed familiar, almost welcoming. Every rustle of the leaves, every chirp of a bird felt like the forest's way of guiding her home. When she finally stepped out of the forest and into the village, the sun was high in the sky. The villagers emerged from their homes, relief etched on their faces as they saw Eliza, safe and sound. They marveled at her courage, at her resilience, but little did they know of the mystical encounter that had transpired in the heart of the forest. As Eliza returned to her cottage, she glanced at her basket of herbs, now imbued with an enchanting aura. She knew then that she had not merely survived the spooky rainstorm. It wasn't her fearlessness that had saved her, but her respect for the ancient spirits that dwelled in the heart of the forest. She had ventured into the storm, braved its fury, and emerged with more than just survival. She had gained knowledge, understanding, and a bond with the ancient spirits of the forest, a realization that dawned on her as the storm subsided. From that day forward, Eliza's remedies held a mysterious power. After her encounter with the spirits of the forest, Eliza's life took a turn that she had not anticipated. The herbs she had gathered that stormy night were imbued with an otherworldly magic, a magic that transferred to her remedies. Each concoction she brewed was more potent than the last. The villagers noticed the change. The salves healed faster, the teas soothed more deeply, and the powders invigorated more intensely. Word started to spread beyond the village borders, carried by the wind, like the whispers she had heard in the forest. People from distant lands began seeking her out, traveling through treacherous terrains and braving unpredictable weather just to sample her remarkable remedies. They came with stories of ailments that had not responded to conventional treatments and left with renewed hope, their hearts filled with gratitude. Eliza's reputation as a herbalist grew exponentially. She was no longer just the village herbalist, but a renowned healer sought after far and wide. But as her fame spread, so did the intrigue around her. People began to wonder about the secret behind her potent remedies. Was it a new method of brewing? Was it a rare herb she had discovered? Despite the curiosity, Eliza remained silent about her eerie encounter in the forest. She kept the tale of the ancient altar, the ethereal spirits, and the whispers of the forest a secret. To her, it was not just an adventure. It was a sacred experience, a pact with the spirits of the forest. The knowledge she had gained that stormy night was not hers to share, but to cherish and respect. She continued her solitary existence, her life intertwined with the forest and its spirits. Each day, she would gather her herbs, brew her remedies, and meet the people who sought her help. And each night, she would sit by her window, looking out at the forest, a knowing smile on her face. But she kept the tale of her eerie encounter in the forest, and the wisdom she gained a secret, cherishing it as her most precious memory.